joining us today for this exciting webinar hosted by the Case Hub in collaboration with Ivy Publishing. So my name is Maria Khouri. I am the academic assistant at the Case Hub. The Case Hub is the new strategic partner of the North American Case Research Association, NACRA, in the region. And I am thrilled to be your moderator for today's session, where we will be discussing the benefits of participating in our upcoming third case conference and offering valuable guidance on crafting an impactful proposal. So we have few members of our organizing committee here today, Dr. Fida Afyouni, Dr. Amr Al-Kibbi, and Dr. Randa Salamoun. Our two guest speakers for today are,
Maria and
yeah,
Dr. Amin Abiad
sorry, I didn't see him. Okay,
is
and
with us.
yes, Dr. Amin Abiad. And we welcome our two guest speakers for today, Dr. Randa Salamoun, the founding director of the Case Hub, and Mrs. Violetta Gallagher, Associate Director of Product and Publishing at Ivy Publishing. So today's webinar will be divided into four key parts: understanding what qualifies as a case and what does not, the process of publishing with Ivy Publishing in our co-branded collection, the elements of an impactful case proposal, and what to anticipate from our third case conference. Finally, at the end of our session, we will have a Q&A session where you will be able to ask all your questions. So,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Randa.
Thank you, Maria. So we always like to start by, refreshing our memories in terms of what is a case and what is not a case. Case study or case or business case are terms that we use a lot in our day-to-day language in a business school, but we don't all refer to the main concept when we are using these terms. So in the context of the conference, we are really referring to pedagogical case studies that are designed and crafted to be able to achieve specific learning objectives in the classroom in a discussion with our students. So effectively, we like to think of the case as a compelling story of an organizational decision or challenge or opportunity faced by a specific protagonist within a specific context. So the contextual dimension is really important. A case is not an empirical piece of research, although we do use a lot of case studies for data collection purposes, for empirical research. This is not the purpose of the conference. And it's not just a descriptive report written to showcase a successful story. From a pedagogical perspective, we want the case to engage the student, to put the student in the shoes of the decision maker, to be able to be, analytical, reflexive, and engaged with the material. So just my brief 2 cents before I give the floor to Violetta.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. And just wanted to also start off with a little bit about Ivy Publishing for those that are unfamiliar. So we have over 34,500 products available on our platform, and that is between our distributors and suppliers, us being one of the largest case publishing and other materials, learning materials around the world. And we have over 6,500. Some of those are co-brands, as we have here with AUB, where we are joining forces with other schools to make a big impact on the type of stories that we are telling, as here with AUB in the MENA region. We do publish on average about 30 cases a month, and it has actually been increased to a bit more than that recently. And we represent over 60 countries by Ivy authors. And that is something that we are extremely proud of, because we do truly write from a global perspective. And we have cases from all around the world and authors from all around the world. So they are not necessarily just Canada or North America specific, but definitely around, you can tell a story about MENA, you can tell a story about Africa, you can tell a story about Europe, and so on and so forth. And that truly does have a really rich library of our learning materials that we have. We have also recently published digital learning experiences. So if you haven't checked those out, please do. They are on a digital platform and for discussions prior to case classes. And then we do also publish in different languages. Next, please, Maria. Thank you. So a little bit in addition to what Randa had started with in terms of, what is a case and what's not a case, what makes a great case? So there are these 6 points, are decision point, relevant, versatile, objectives, data, and engaging. So a decision point, making sure that it's clearly outlined the decision point in relation to the case dilemma. So your who, what, when, where, and how are clearly written out in your decision point. Making sure that it's relevant, so that the students can truly learn about a real business that students can relate to, and relevant in timing. So we don't want cases that are about 10 years, 7 years old. We want that decision point to be very fresh, something around 2 to 3 years, so that students can say, yes, I've experienced this, or I just went through this. Thinking about even just the way that the world has changed, and COVID, for example, there are many cases now that we are now starting to reject based on COVID, because that has happened and we have now seen progress and we have seen different companies, and no one wants to hear about COVID anymore. It is now 4 years past. And so how do companies come from that? So thinking about relevancy to the student. Versatile, so think about also how can it be used over multidimensional topics or issues. Not necessarily, we don't want it to meet every single learning objective, but can it also be used in strategy and in operations? So thinking about the versatility there, and that really comes back to your decision point and having a nice open decision point so that faculty could, hone in on certain points within the case that they would like to. Objectives. So these are your teaching and learning objectives, and making sure first that the case meets those, but second that your decision point and your objectives are clearly aligned. You want that alignment to happen. Without that alignment, the case is probably not well written. So when you're writing your case, think about your decision point, write out your learning objectives, and then start truly writing out the rest of that case. Data, thinking about exhibits and that all our exhibits are clearly laid out, that they are edible. You want data that's going to be relevant to the students. Again, back to relevancy. So you want that data there. The other part of this is that we actually are seeing more and more students and faculty asking for a larger data set. So students want to explore, they want to make decisions based on large data sets. So if you have that available, please do add it. It does help make a great case. And then last but not least, and this is very much to what Randa was saying earlier, an engaging story with compelling issues. We want this to be engaging. We don't want this to be he did this and that was the outcome and that was the end of that. Maria, thank you. So a little bit about our publishing process. Here it looks like a 5-step process, and it sort of is. It is 150 days that we aim to publish, as long as we have that back and forth with our faculty and our authors that are engaged and writing back to us. So you start with submitting your case into our submission portal right on our website. If you are a part of AUB or would like your case to be part of the AUB program, please do select that. There is an option to select that in a drop-down menu. And you'd submit your case, your teaching note, and any other supporting materials. So if you do have supporting materials such as slides, anything of that sort, please do submit all of that. It goes through a review. So our product coordinator, which will work with you from start to finish, will look at the case and the teaching note and all the submission and go through a checklist that will say, all right, is it meeting the very basics and ready to move forward to an academic content review? If there's no feedback there for the product coordinator, it goes through an academic content review. And this is a double-blind pre-review process with the review. Once it's done there and we say, all right, this is ready to go, it is accepted. And we move into what we call a registration phase. And so we are now registering that case, and it is moving to editing. We do one round of copy editing. If needed, we do have the ability to do a second round of copy editing, depending on, the submission. And then once that's done and you're happy with the case and we're happy with the case, we will publish it. We do not hold publication. Publication happens the moment we are ready to go. It then also is, if it's part of the AUB collection, it is also published within that AUB collection. And it does go out to our distributors, such as Harvard and the Case Center, that within that calendar month. And it usually takes them about 3 to 4 months. So a little bit about the case outline. Just wanted to highlight this just as you're thinking about your case and as you're beginning to write. So we put an emphasis on the opening paragraph. So this is where it introduces the protagonist and the decision point. So your who, what, when, where, and how again. You then move into organization and background. So this provides a history, an industry, a company overview, major product services, structure, geographical coverage, business units, financial overview, and a competition. Anything here that would help tell the story and emphasize the opening paragraph. You then move into the area of interest. So this is where it introduces a context related to that subject area. So subtitles for here, for example, may include history of the function, recent changes, relationships, relations with other departments, main responsibilities, maybe a personal background if the protagonist is, if you're thinking of leadership type cases, and any other key people in the case. We then move into the case problem or the decision. So this is where it explores the dilemma facing the protagonist. Here you usually have a detailed discussion of the main case issues and options. Examples here could include the project, the production process, and the financing plan. You could add alternatives. This is what modulates the case difficulty. So if you are looking for a, EMBA near the end type of case, you would include alternatives. And so they may introduce other considerations or implementation considerations. And then last but not least, conclusions. So this reinstates the decision with relevant tasks or deadlines. Please do not copy and paste of the opening paragraph. We want this to be unique and actionable by the students. And then last but not least, there we have wonderful resources on our website. There are submission guidelines. Please go in, follow those submission guidelines. If you kind of go through those are the keys to what the product coordinators are looking at when they first receive the submission. There is a teaching note layout available as well. The teaching note layout is really meant to be a copy and paste. So you can definitely download it and start putting in all the information that you have for the teaching note. There's case writing videos to help and support any other ideas or thinking about case writing. There's a consent to use. So if you are writing a field-based case, we do require consent to use to be signed. So please download that consent to use to have it signed on the final draft of that's going to be submitted. The other little hint I will give you there is that if you are using consent to use and writing a field case, please tick off, I do not need to have edits. It just makes things a lot easier with the company and your relationship with them than them choosing, I do want to see edits throughout the process. It's a much seamless process that way. And then citation guidelines. So for all those published source cases, look to our citation guidelines. They're really well outlined in terms of the types of materials that you're pulling from, and they do have examples on how to cite correctly. This definitely will help the process a lot faster. And if you are writing a published source case and there are many citations that are blank or left unknown, that will definitely prolong that process. So use those resources that are available on our website. And then if you're looking for anything more, There is more on the published cases tab within the Ivy Publishing website. Please visit there. If you have any direct questions, we do have a published cases at ivy.ca inbox that we look at constantly, and we'll answer any questions that you have there. If you're looking for a bit more support in that regards, please do email us and then let us know, and we can either provide a product coordinator to you or answer the question, so on and so forth. So we're here to help. We do want this to be successful, and we look forward to seeing many submissions through the case conference.
Thank you, Violetta. Thank you for clarifying this again. So I would like to add that all cases that are submitted in the AUB Ivy collection are automatically translated to Arabic by AUB. So basically, that's a great plus for all of us teaching in the MENA, in the Levant, in the Gulf, to have the possibility of using our own cases in Arabic, depending on the students we are targeting. And of course, if this guidelines provided to you by Violetta is not clear, you're not too sure how to move forward with the submission for the case conference, we are also happy to guide you to finalize your submission, which I will be going over on in a minute. So the submissions are now open, and you have about a month left to make your submission to the case conference, which we will be holding on February 20 and 21 on our twin campus in Paphos. So what do we expect really in terms of submission? So you have two options. If you have a fully developed case, you are welcome to submit it. But I do know that the majority of people who submit to a conference are usually joining for the learning experience, and maybe you're still new to the case writing process and you just want to start with an idea and participate and learn and actually develop your case as we are moving forward. In which case, we highly recommend that you submit a case idea. And the case idea is very simple. It's about a page, 2 pages max, that allow you to really reflect on what case you want to submit and provide us with some preliminary components. So it's really like a case proposal. So first of all, we need the case preliminary title, the target course to use the case. So let's say you are developing a course, a case that you want to use in your digital business strategy course. So you would name it, the program. So is that for the undergrads, for grads, for a MBA course, or a master's in HR course? What is it exactly? And finally, are you going to be conducting interviews and collecting data from the company directly, or are you building your case on secondary data? Then we want the opening paragraph. So this is really creating the setup, putting the students in the shoes of the decision maker. So the fully developed opening paragraph needs to identify the protagonist, the position, decision, trigger, why is it important, naming the company, possibly the industry, and a very brief context. So a sentence or so about the context. Then provide the outline. How do you expect the case narrative to unfold? And finally, the case learning objectives. So the acceptance will be made based on this proposal. And during the conference, you will be allocated to a case discussion group. And the case discussion group will be basically providing developmental feedback to each other. And on every table, we will be having one case expert that will help you develop your case further. So in terms of timeline, Submissions will close on October 4, and the submission link is in the slides that we will be sharing with you and on our website. You will receive decisions by November 15. At this date, we will also open registration, and the early registration fees period ends on December 15. Registration closes on January 15. And of course, as soon as you decide to join, in case you need a visa, please do let us know. Anyway, this will be in the acceptance letter so that we can assist you in the, prep logistics of your trip. Now, so once you're at the conference, what to expect? Definitely meeting and engaging with case writers, educators, industry experts. We promise a rich program with keynote speakers, 2 professional development workshops, panels addressing topics that are relevant to business education today in the region and worldwide, as well as the case development sessions. You'll get the chance to network with Ivy, network with professors in other universities, case writers from all over the world. Very, very interesting experience. So those are the important resources: the conference website, the call, and the submission page. And all of these will be shared with you by email in the coming 2 days. So we're going to open the floor for questions.
Randa, maybe you would like to provide the attendees with an overview of the scope of the conference. For example, last year, how many attended from how many universities?
Yeah, would you like to do that?
No, please, you do it. I don't have the numbers in mind.
Okay.
So I think that would help the participants to have an idea about the conference.
Yeah, thank you, Fida. That's a good point. So last year we had about 100 participants from 47 universities in about 15 countries. We had a very good representation from the MENA, but we also had the participants from literally all over the world. I mean, from Canada to India and, Europe, Gulf, MENA, North Africa, a very diverse group of attendees. Some of the cases that were submitted at the conference last year were developed throughout the year and are already either published in our collection or in the final days of publication. And Violetta is gonna get them out in the coming few days, and we will be able to share them with you and communicate more about them. In terms of profile, so what was really interesting is that some attendees did not even know what a case was. So basically, they just attended without a submission. Other attendees had submitted fully developed cases. 2 of them actually won the best case award and the best case idea award. So we had 4 award winners at the conference. We are continuously following up with the people who expressed interest in getting their cases published to help them move their case through the pipeline, assisting them and pushing them through the pipeline with Ivy. And Violetta always gets emails from me. Where's this case? Why isn't it published yet? Let's move it forward. And in parallel to that, we are also translating. So basically, by the time a case is out, we need about 2 weeks, Maria, to get it translated
Yes.
and published. Yeah, about 2 weeks. So we're being quite active, and we're very happy. We are developing the collection and making more cases available to you. So yeah, I think this gives an idea of the profile of participants last year.
Yes, Dr.
Yes,
Jasser.
Dr. Jasser. You are muted.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this webinar. It's really very important and interesting, especially that I am one of those who are interested in this case hub. Actually, things are clearer now. What happened is that I already submitted the proposal, and my specific question now is, are you going to simply go over them? And since, for example, to me, it's my first experience in writing a case study, are you going to send some comments to enhance the project, or simply you have accepted or rejected?
Okay, so basically the way we do this is that we definitely want to help people develop. This is a developmental conference, and that is the aim of the Case Hub, developing the method in the region. So what we do is we look at the proposals and we provide comments. So there are two types of comments. There are comments that are required. So if the case is not a pedagogical case, if it's a piece of research, we provide some suggestions in terms of how this can be reframed as a pedagogical case, and in which case acceptance becomes conditional to these changes to be made, because we don't want research papers on the conference program. And if the proposal is good enough to be accepted, then we would accept it. And we consider that during the developmental sessions, you will get the feedback that you need to move it forward. If it falls somewhere in between, the organizing committee member who's in charge of the review process makes an executive decision of whether we require some changes, we recommend some changes. So we have three stages. So required changes, recommended changes, and no changes, basically.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. Another quick question, if you don't mind. It's related to the length. Sorry?
No, absolutely not. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's related to the length of the case study at the end. Maybe I missed that. Maybe you mentioned this. Sorry, but if you can tell us.
Sure. So the new trend,
I don't know.
So if you've looked at the bestsellers that date 10 years or more or 15 years, you would notice that a lot of cases range between 25 and 35 pages. Unfortunately, we do know that our students will not read a 35-page case. The trend now is to move towards cases that are about 7-8 pages long. And when we're talking about 7-8 pages, we're talking about the core case narrative, the main case narrative. We, of course, expect to have some appendices that provide additional contextual information, but we recommend this 7 to 8 pages, I would say, in general.
Thank you.
And if I could just add to that, Randa, if we definitely are starting to see even 5 to 6 pages as a length. 7 to 8 is a very good length for cases right now. And just so that you're aware, if we do ask you to make some changes, it might be in regards to page length, for the reason that there may be some exhibits that are better suited as exhibits or written out as sentences. And so we make changes throughout through the publishing process in regards to that. And then teaching note, just so that you're aware, for the teaching note, there is no limit on pages, but we do expect anywhere between 3 to 4 pages of analysis in the teaching note. So our teaching notes are usually about 10 to 12 pages long or longer, depending on the complexity of the case.
And Violetta, there's no minimum number of pages. So a case
No.
could be a page.
No minimum. We actually, our shortest case is 7 tweets. They're just 7 tweets, or sorry, I guess they're not tweets anymore. They're X's or however it's said. And it's just 7 tweets, and that's the case. And I've seen it taught in a 2-part class, each 90 minutes long, and it's quite amazing the discussion that comes out of it.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Dr. Al-Muthaf, I just saw your email. Any question? Sorry, I didn't see it earlier. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, thank you for this very informative session. I had a question of whether or not we should omit or include the name of the company, the real company that we are analyzing. So if it's a listed company at Kuwait Stock Exchange, for example, do we include the real name of the company and the name of the CEO who we interviewed, or we keep it anonymous? What do you prefer?
The preference, and this is, I mean, not a personal preference, this is the trend in case studies, is to actually identify the company, identify the protagonist. Now, in this specific case, if you develop the case based exclusively on publicly available information, then you can use the citations as described by Violetta earlier, and in which case you do not need the company to sign a consent. However, if you also interviewed the CEO, then you would name the CEO and you would ask the CEO to sign a release form, basically just, confirming that he accepts the case to be published and that the case does represent his perspective on whatever the situation is. And if you're writing a finance case, it would be amazing to include the data set if a data set would help in the decision-making process.
And to add to that, Randa, if it is a finance case and they're not comfortable with sharing their finances, let's say they are a private company, then quite often we can also disguise the data. So you can always include a disguise. It's just being smart about where you're including that disguise. So sometimes companies will sign the consent to use, but they don't want to use the same names. So we just switch names, which is fine as long as we are aware that there was a disguise. And sometimes quite often we find it in finance as well. Sort of the trick is, multiply by 0.03 or divide by 0.03, but making sure that you are still representing the company financially the way that they are set. So if they're $1 million company, they stay close to $1 million company, and you're not upscaling or downsizing the company.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think those are very important questions, very relevant. Okay, so anything else we should add? Fida, Violetta, Maria, did we forget anything?
I think all good.
I think the one thing to think about, which I found was such a great experience when we were there at the case conference and when we sat at the round tables, is that many many, participants read each other's cases and they were able to fully engage and provide feedback. And even if you're a brand new case writer and haven't written a case before, or if you've written many cases, there's always some sort of impact that you have on that roundtable. And you might think, oh, what do I have to add as a new case writer? Well, think about what that case classroom discussion would look like, and maybe things that are missing, and provide any type of feedback. So just be ready for a lot of feedback, a lot of great engagement with those roundtables, and be prepared for those discussions.
Thank you, Violetta. Thank you all for your time and interest, and we are looking forward to receiving your submissions and to seeing you in Paphos at the conference on our twin campus. If you have any question, if you remember any question, please feel free to drop me an email. I would be more than happy to answer you and to assist you in crafting your proposal. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you so much. Thank you.
Joanne?
Yes.